Tonight we're going to be doing 35 question interview with you before you fall asleep. So go ahead and just relax your eyes. You can close them or you can move your mouse to a new tab and you can work on whatever you need to. But this is an eyes closed formatted video, so if you want to, go ahead, because I'm just going to be asking you 35 simple questions to get to know you a little bit more. So, do you want to begin? Okay. Let's do our first question. And I like to use my Sharpie black pen because this is very, very nice and inky. I'll show you how it looks. Perfect. Okay, so first question. If you could instantly master any skill, what would it be? Okay. Interesting. I think for me, what I would want to master, I would master maybe writing. Even though I do know how to write, my grammar is sometimes really bad. So that's maybe something that I would work on. Second question, what's the weirdest food combination that you actually like? And I promise I won't judge you. Okay, that's a good one. For me personally, let me think. I do like to have sweet and spicy. So I guess a basic one would be pineapples on pizza, because I do like fruit on my pizza. I don't really care what people have to say about that. That will be my weird one. What song always puts you in a good mood? I like that genre. Song that puts me in a good mood. Anything that is, I like pop. Pop puts me in a good mood. I like to listen to Ariana Grande because she has like songs that are good for manifestation. Like on Positions, she had the song Just Like Magic. I think that's a good positive song that makes you feel like you can do anything, like I can do this just like magic. Alright, fourth question. If you had to live in one season forever, which would you choose? There's actually only one right answer. I agree. Autumn. Autumn is the best because it is not too hot, not too cold typically. So I do really like that. I like that balance. You get to begin to wear your sweaters, and I like the colors of the leaves. I like to walk outside and the leaves are very crunchy. And I also like to drink hot beverages. So unfortunately, I do have to give up my iced coffees or my iced lattes, and I do like to get my warm drinks, like pumpkin spice lattes are really good. Alright, next question. What movie can you quote word for word? I already have mine in my head. Go ahead. Okay. Actually, it's not even a movie, it's a show. Immediately I started thinking about Interview with the Vampire. And at that one fight that Louis and Lestat had, where Lestat is crashing out, but what else does he do with his time? Louis was like, wait, hold on. Lestat was like, I can't remember how to do it now because I'm nervous. I heard your heart's dancing. You he was like, you watch the whole thing like a creeper, and I watch you pull over and drain a dog and run down the alleyway for 2 more rats. This is not a life. That's because you took my life. That scene. Alright, if you could meet any historical figure, who would it be? Okay, that's a good one. For me, okay, and you might judge me for this because out of everything that I could have chosen, but lately I've been re-listening to the Hamilton musical, and because of that, it makes me want to like meet the founding fathers, because I am just curious. I know they were probably terrible people, honestly, in real life, but in the musical, they were so humanized. So it makes me really curious about, like, really anybody that was there in the beginning of, like, the development of America. Like, so I don't know, you know, like meeting Alexander Hamilton, meeting like Eliza Hamilton, Angelica, Aaron Burr, Thomas Jefferson. Even though like I don't know, in real life, obviously I think they would be terrible, but like it just made me nosy. Like I want to know what it's like to meet historical figures. And technically it wasn't even that long ago. It was like 200 years ago. But then when you think about it, it was, I don't know, crazy, because back then they would only paint these people. They wouldn't even have pictures of them. I don't know why. I think they did have cameras back then too, but it was just not a thing they did a lot. I don't know, wait, or I could be wrong. Alright, what's a smell that instantly brings back a memory for you? I can't think of a smell that's iconic for me. Yeah, nothing on the top of my head. What would your dream home be like? I know you were thinking about this. Yeah, go into deep detail. For me, I feel like I would love to live somewhere that had like, was kind of in nature, like anywhere that I could, you know, easily find a park and walk around in is somewhere I would like to stay. I like 90s aesthetics as well, so my home would look old. It would look very old fashioned. So yeah, I like 90s, like funky, like I like tapestries. I just like old stuff. People might disagree with that. That's why it's my opinion. Okay. Next question. Have you ever had a completely unexplainable experience? Yeah, I guess that was kind of vague. Honestly, anything was really odd that happened to you and you're like, I don't understand how that could have happened. If you could time travel, would you go to the past or the future? I would go to the future because I don't really care about the past. I like a past of my life. No, I don't care. Now, past of, like, I was already there. Past of other people's lives, maybe, like historical figures. But future, I would rather, because I want to know, am I gonna be okay? Like, where am I gonna end up? So that's how my anxiety is always running. Like, what's gonna happen? You know, like when you are trying really hard at everything and you're just like, I wonder what the fruits of my labor will be. I don't know. So I'm curious about that. But it's probably not a good thing to do. You should probably just, stay in the present. Okay. What is a skill you think everyone should learn? I think that everyone should be skilled in a few things. I think learning how to drive is very important because, unfortunately, unless you live in a city that has public transportation, you kind of need to learn how to drive. I did not like learning how to drive, though. It's not fun to learn how to drive, in my opinion. And learning how to cook, probably very important. I'm trying to eat out less and make more home cooked meals. So that's just something for me. I think learning how to sew for me, because I don't want to throw out clothes just because they have a hole in them. So I want to learn how to sew. And then I think technical classes are really important too. I think especially with older generations, they kind of get left behind in the advances of our time. So I think that's why it's really cool that I know Apple has classes to teach people how to use their phones. So things like that. And especially if you have an office job too, knowing how to use Microsoft, things like that, I think is important. What is your go-to comfort food? For me, I really like mac and cheese. I love mac and cheese bad. I like to eat it with hot sauce. I don't know if a lot of people like that. I like also for breakfast, I love to eat an avocado with egg sandwich on a bagel, and it's really good. I highly recommend. And I also really like ice cream. So any vanilla ice cream with brownies and Oreo cookies, I could eat one right now actually. But that's a bad idea because it's really late at night. I probably shouldn't do that. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. Maybe I should. Okay. What is your favorite childhood TV show? I'm glad that you asked. I remember watching Franklin growing up, the turtle, on Noggin. And I also watched Little Bear. Oh, so nostalgic. I love Backyardigans. Uniqua was my favorite character. I just loved her and her attitude. And I thought she was the best singer. And what else did I watch? When I was a really, really young girl, I really liked Dora the Explorer. So that was something. And I would never admit it because I didn't want to. I wanted to impress the cool kids. I didn't want to tell them that I was watching Dora, but I was a fan. And do you prefer the sunrise or do you prefer the sunset? Oh, I like the sunset. I like the sunset because it's pretty. And I think that I like the sunset because when the sun goes down, the weather gets a little bit cooler. And then you get to see the moon shine a little bit. And what else do I... Oh, I don't really like sunrise because I get depressed. I'm like, dang, the day is starting. That means I gotta do something. I gotta start being progressive. Or, sorry, what's the word? Productive. I'm like, oh, dang it. I gotta go to work. What's something you done that you are really proud of? That sounds really neat. Something I'm really proud of. You know, the first thing that comes to my head is that I recently graduated and I got my first job out of grad school. And it's a full-time big girl job. And I get to work in research. So that's something that I always wanted to do. So now I get to explore this new world. And I'm really excited. I also started getting into painting. So I took a class. Actually, I took a class about a month or so ago, a while ago. We ended in September. And it was really fun. So I think reconnecting with yourself is really fun. And I like to find creative outlets. It's always fun to entertain both sides of your brain, like one for science, things like that, and then also like your creative side. So I'm having fun. I also, another thing I'm really proud of, I got back into reading. And reading is something I did a lot in high school. I would go to my room and I would like read. I love reading fiction. I would read fiction like all the time. I like to read like romance, fantasy books, and now I'm doing it again. And the first romance book I'm reading now, since I've started reading in a while, is called All Roads Lead Here, and you may know it. It's really good. I really like it. It's actually a lot about not just about romance, but it's about like connecting back with your past. And the main character, her mom, we used to really like hiking, and it takes place in Colorado, and Colorado is a really beautiful state and it's known for all of its scenic beauty. And she is like going hiking a lot throughout this book, and she meets a guy who's a game warden, and he is that in game warden, your job is to literally be law enforcement for the public parks and nature and things like that, making sure that people and animals are safe and like nature is being preserved and stuff. So it's really cool. And hiking sounds really difficult. I have hiked. I've never done anything too crazy though, so maybe that's something I'll do in the future though. What's your favorite word in another language? My favorite word in another language, I guess, would be anaranjado. I think that's orange in Spanish. Watch that not be orange in Spanish, but anyway. What is the last book that you couldn't put down? Please give me book recommendations in the comments below. The last book that I read before All Roads Lead Here is called The Silent Patient. And I think I brought it up earlier on this channel, but I never told you I finished it. So I'm gonna update you. I finished it. and it was really interesting. So, but I don't want to spoil it in case anyone wants to read it. It has a very big plot twist at the end, and it's like kind of like it's basically a book about this woman who was convicted of murdering her husband, and she gets admitted into the psychiatric facility because after the murder she stopped speaking altogether. And there's this psychotherapist that was interested in her case, and he literally went and got a job at the psychiatric facility that she worked in to crack what is going on in her psyche and why she committed the crime that she did. So, very interesting. And then, yeah, if you're interested in that kind of genre, maybe you should check it out. I don't know. Alright. If you have any animal as a pet, real or mythical, what would it be? You know what? I would get another cat for my cat. My cat's kind of old. She's almost 10. She's 9 now. No, she's turning 9, sorry. But, she's getting up there. And I feel like she should have a companion in life, one that's her age. So I would love to get another cat for her. If it was mythical, I would get a dragon. Because why wouldn't I? I feel like that's the only logical answer. Yeah, I would definitely get a dragon. Because I want to fly, obviously. I want to fly around and have a relationship with my dragon like Hiccup and Toothless. That's always been my dream. So, what conspiracy theory do you find secretly fascinating? I feel like since we're on the topic, I wonder where Bigfoot came from. Like, and it's just something I always thought about. Like, is it a sort of Loch Ness Monster situation where people are just lying? Because that's the only conclusion I can come up with. I don't think there's anything in the woods, if you ask me. Oh, I also want to know, where did people come up with, like, fairies? Like, where did that idea come up from? That doesn't have anything to do with conspiracy theories. It's more so a wonder about where folklore came from. I think that a lot of different cultures kind of have the same folklore, but they just kind of change the names for it. What's your dream destination for travel? I recently took a trip to Oregon and San Diego this past year. If I were to go somewhere else, I would probably want to visit New York. I've only been to New York for one day one time, but I would definitely want to go back for a longer trip and, like, I don't know, see a play there or something cool that, I wouldn't see where I am at the Midwest. But comment below your travel dream destinations. I should probably think bigger, honestly, than New York, because it's not that hard to get there. But that's just where I'm thinking of. What would your ideal day look like? What's a hobby you've always wanted to pick up but never did? What's a quote or saying that really resonates with you? What's something that people often misunderstand about you? I have no idea what people misunderstand about me. I don't really ask people too many questions about how they perceive me, honestly. What's something... Oh, sorry. These are the last two questions. Would you rather be famous for something good or infamous for something fun? And last question. If your life was a movie, what would the title be? I guess for me, this might sound corny, but maybe the beginning. I don't know. That's really bad. But I think that's kind of in summary of where I am in my life. Is I think like in your 20s, at least for me, like I feel like you're just figuring things out for yourself and you're finally a little bit more closer to understanding yourself and the things that you want to do and person that you want to be, I guess. But that's all I have for today. I hope that you guys have a lovely rest of your night. Please take care. Bye-bye.